They're going to give me like a...
There's 10 people. If you want to say something.
So if anyone's in this live session already, we'll get started here in just a few minutes. Okay, so thank you everybody from NCT for joining us today. My name is Corey Collings. I'm a training specialist with First Line Technology. And today I'm here in Fredericksburg, Virginia in First Line's manufacturing facility, and I'm standing inside our Ambibus QRT. And what the Ambibus QRT is a adaptation of our Ambibus bus stretcher conversion system, which is traditionally for things like school buses, metro buses, transit buses. And based on customer need, we actually downsized it to fit, and in this case, a Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van, but it also is sized to really fit in any vehicle of opportunity, any sort of transit, small van, whether it be a Ford, a Dodge, a Nissan, really anything with enough space to fit this kind of system can fit in. And what I want to do today is we're going to kind of walk through how this system works, some of the features of it, and we'll show you a video here shortly that's going to show how to load, unload, and transfer patients within the van. So you can see here today, this is a shot of the outside. You know, this is a van we've got set up for shows. It can be fully equipped with lights. And there's a couple ways to load and unload patients in and out of this van. The way you're seeing right now is by using the stretchers themselves, which come out of the van. And those stretchers are used to actually transfer the patients in, out of, and they can go all the way from the scene into the hospital if need be. The next way to load patients is by using the stretchers in a fixed capacity. And the way this works is that you can use any sort of stretcher carrier. In this case, it's an ambu carrier that we have, or you can use a Zoomer stretcher. And you can adjust the height of your carrier and the stretchers themselves. The stretchers stay in the van, and you use a spine board or a transfer board to just slide over and transfer the patients into place. This particular van and our buses come equipped with rolling ramps to allow it easy unloading and loading without having to lift patients. And unloading patients is just the same process in reverse. You can use transfer boards, keep the stretchers in place, or you can use the stretchers themselves. And what I want to do is I also want to talk about the other uses for this van. And we'll go into many of them, but here we have shown there's actually a bench adapter that goes in, makes it very comfortable for several firefighters to sit down and cool off. And because this was designed just last year during the pandemic, the entire vehicle is designed to be easily disinfected. It was one of the design criteria. And it's a lot easier because of the surfaces involved and just the nature of the van to disinfect than a traditional ambulance. So I want to go back to loading and unloading. And you can see here, this van is set up to take 6 patients. The buses, we can go up to 36 patients in the full-size buses, but we stack 3 patients high. You can fit in this van up to 4 stretchers. It gets a little tight for loading and unloading. If you're using the stretchers to load and unload, it's very important. We always start at the top because the lower stretchers actually stabilize and keep the top stretcher from moving. So you always need to start at the top just to save your back. We always start with the lightest patient up top, load that light patient in, secure them, and then come in with the next patient. If you're leaving these stretchers in place like we have here, where they're not permanently fixed, but we're not going to take them in and out of the van, that's when we can use a spine board and transfer board. In that case, it doesn't matter what order you load and unload the patient. Where you're sitting, where the camera is right now, that's set up as our treatment provider station. We have plenty of room to move around. You can monitor the vitals of all of the patients at once. This particular vehicle is also equipped with the mass casualty oxygen system. which each unit can go do up to 9 patients. This is equipped to do 6. And we can piggyback multiple units to go up to those 36s in the larger buses. I want to talk as well about the modularity of this kit. So this is the way this works is that this can go into any vehicle. This is a purpose-built vehicle we have for our purposes, for demonstrations and for shows. However, these kits completely come out, they fold down, they get packed into a small crate, and that small crate can be shipped anywhere in the world. Very easily, very efficient to ship. They can be stored for long periods of time. And then to install into a vehicle takes only, really only a few hours, and it can be done, if necessary, with just hand tools. The same thing for our large bus kits. The bus kits were designed so that the full frame can be taken out of a crate, seats can be removed from a school bus, for example, and the frame system can be installed to the bus without having to drill any holes, to weld any attachment points. Everything is pressure mounted into the bus. The frame itself is designed to support its own weight. It can actually be set up completely freestanding inside a shelter. And because it's designed to support its own weight and to be stable on its own, it doesn't require any drilling into the bus. Now, this setup in the Sprinter van, this actually does require hard attachment points. It's very difficult because of the differences between whether it's a Mercedes-Benz or Ford Transit to have them be able to fit that wide variety of vehicles. So for stability, this does require some basic attachment points, but very easy, very little fabrication required, if any fabrication at all. And the advantage of this is that instead of having to rely on an upfitter, which has a great amount of expense and usually a significant lead time, any vehicle that's available can be rapidly converted into a mass casualty vehicle temporarily or permanently by using these kits, which we have on our shelves here in Fredericksburg, and we always maintain an inventory of these kits. The other thing I want to talk about is the multiple uses of this kit. Obviously this is designed, original design back 15, 20 years ago was for a mass casualty conversion kit for things like hurricanes. It was kind of the big driver. Hurricane Katrina was a big driver of the development of this system. But what we've seen in the last year is a multitude of different uses for these kits. This Sprinter concept has already been used for mobile COVID-19 vaccine deployment, where we can take the vaccine clinic to people where they need it. So if people are homebound, we can take it to their doorstep, or it can even be taken to a certain extent in their living room, where the personnel go and get some of these homebound, elderly, severely disabled people out of their homes, or are able to administer the vaccine in their homes. We've also seen our buses to be used in rural areas for COVID-19 testing, the ability to have, as you can see, a lot of space to work, be able to put multiple people and have that space. I'm a little over 6 foot tall, and I can stand up in here very comfortably. If I'm dealing with a patient, I don't have to be leaning over the patient the entire time. I'm able to handle multiple patients easily and comfortably. But also things like we showed in the video, things like firefighter rehab, having a place to cool off, drink some water, get some AC, get out of the sun, monitor vitals. If need be, medical intervention is right there. And things like 10Ks, 5Ks, concerts, any large public event where you can roll up, have a mobile first aid station that's ready to go. Literally, you pull up, you open the doors, you're ready to go. Again, you've got room to work, you can handle multiple patients at once. And if a mass casualty event did occur, you have the ability to rapidly transport, in this case 6, in the bus cases up to 36 patients at once. Really frees up a large amount of your ambulances and really speeds up that transport. We've seen these buses used for things like nursing home evacuations. That's kind of been a big one, even for public, well, both for COVID-19, both for pandemic sorts of response, but also just for natural disasters or other sorts of disasters. Nursing home fires, for example, when you have a 300 bed-bound residents in a nursing home or residential care facility, that could be 90 ambulances. I saw one case, 93 ambulances out of service for a day, just transporting residents of a nursing home, versus doing the same with 1 or 2 buses and multiple loads, and keeping your ALS level ambulances available to respond to calls on the street. Also, with COVID-19, with pandemic response, the ability to, potentially load multiple quarantine patients or multiple infected patients and transport them and not have to go through the costly process of disinfecting a dedicated ambulance and all of the supplies therein through multiple trips. We can transport multiple infected patients at once in a fairly low cost and very easily to disinfect vehicle. So with that's kind of the overview of the Ambibus and the Ambibus QRT, which is what you see here today. Firstline does offer, everything from kits, build them yourself kits, to complete built out turnkey solutions, both buses and vans, and all the accessories you need: stretchers, pillows. We have matting to prevent any sort of bodily fluid transfer from top to bottom. Mass casualty oxygen systems, wireless vital sign monitors. The list goes on and on and on. We've been in this business for a little bit over 15 years doing mass casualty solutions. We've thought it out. These buses have been used. So if you have any questions, just give us a call. And with that, I'd like to take any questions in the comment section of the chat. If you've got any questions, ask them. I'll have somebody here read them off, and I'll answer them live here today.
Are the stretchers proprietary to the system, or will any NATO stretcher work? Okay,
great question. So these are stretchers. They're called ambu stretchers, or we call them ambu stretchers, manufactured by Firstline Technology. However, they are NATO standard stretchers. So if you've got a Talon stretcher, Talon 2, or even the old litter style stretcher, because of the modularity of the system, because it has very few fixed points, really any stretcher can be made to fit, but it is designed for NATO standard stretchers. We have these ambu stretchers because they are a very good lower cost solution and alternative to the sometimes more expensive NATO standard stretchers. These stretchers as well are fully decontaminatable and can be disinfected.
Do you have any training options?
Yeah, so there's a couple options for Ambibus training. So we do installation and installation training for people who are just interested in, okay, I want to buy a kit. I'm not going to permanently mount it into a bus or a vehicle. I want to be able to mount it, when the need arises. I've got a hurricane bearing down on me, and I've got a couple hours and a couple of personnel to go mount it. So we offer training on how to do the installations. We'll also offer installations itself. And then we also an operational thing, and that covers everything from kind of what we showed you today. How do you load it? How do you work the ramp? Some of the intricacies, but we also get into things like the operational picture, the higher level SOP of how you're going to implement a mass casualty transport option in whatever your jurisdiction is.
Can this kit be used freestanding?
This kit that I'm in today, designed for the QRT, cannot be used freestanding. It has to be mounted inside a vehicle. The Ambibus, the original Ambibus, designed for buses and larger vehicles, absolutely designed that it can be used freestanding. And freestanding actually gives us a little more flexibility because we're not bound by the constraints of the size of the bus. So it's very, very easy to get 9 patients per frame of a freestanding kit.
Do I have to buy a bus, or does it come with it?
We can do both options. You can bring your own bus. You can get buses or vans donated through the, sometimes out of service school buses, end of service transit buses will be available for low or no cost. The good news is if it breaks down, you can pull the kit out and put it into a new bus. Or if you're just interested in simplifying things, Firstline will provide and has delivered several over the last year, fully built out, fully equipped turnkey bus built to your specification using the same frame system. Okay, any more questions? All right, if you have any more questions, you can reach out to us. The best way is training@firstlinetech.com, training@firstlinetech.com. You can continue to ask questions in this YouTube Live comment section. We can respond back to you through that, or just give us a call. Our website is www.firstlinetech.com. We have all of our contact information on there. So any other questions, we're happy to answer. And thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us, and enjoy the rest of the conference.